Howdy, everybody. Dr. John here. Today, we're going to go over oxygen perfusion, right? And this is all about oxygen saturation in your body. So, I have here a pulse oximeter. This is a generic one. It's actually upside down there. It's called, just a pulse oximeter. It'll read your heart rate as well as your oxygen saturation in the blood. So, I'll just go ahead and stick it on my finger here. We'll see these numbers come up. If the battery works. There it goes. Just had to turn it on. It's running. And we're gonna go over also masks. So my wife bought these carbon filter masks with little ventilators on them. If you take a look at this thing, it reads 60 beats per minute heart rate and 98% oxygen saturation. One of the biggest things that I'm witnessing from patients and public as well is that when you're wearing a mask with glasses on, they tend to get fogged up. And 3 of the 9 people that I saw wearing a mask in the car by themselves yesterday on our trip to the grocery store were actually wearing masks with glasses on. Now, folks, this is actually dangerous to everyone else. But what I'm going to do is hopefully just shed some light on how our bodies really adapt to things like wearing a mask. When our sleep oxygen drops below 88%, we're actually becoming what's called hypoxic, or we're losing oxygen in our blood. And what this does is it'll cause the body to go into a stressed state. If you're an extreme athlete, you're in like the 30s range. And if you're having any kind of health concerns or issues, your heart rate may be upwards of 80, 90s, and 100s. Most babies have a fast heart rate, fun fact, because their system is undeveloped. And so they're still in like a pretty stressed system. So anything that kind of comes along as an irritant, the baby reacts to. If they get hungry, they cry. So everything is a very stressing response to the infant. And so as that brain develops, they actually start to reduce that stress response to their system, and then their heart rate starts to slow down. If people have more stress in their life, we can anticipate that they would actually have a higher heart rate at a resting level. So, had this mask on for a minute so far. Put my pulse oximeter on, see how it's measuring so far. I'm already starting to notice just the sensation of breathing is obviously a little more challenging with this thing on because you just don't have free airflow coming in and out. So as I read this, one thing that's interesting is my heart rate went up to 82, 84, 86, and my oxygen saturation is currently at 98. So if nothing else, my heart's having to work harder to get oxygen around my body. So that's at 1 minute in. Well, we're still at approximately 10 minutes into this concept, and as I do this, my heart rate still seems elevated. It's currently at 76 with an oxygen saturation of 98%. So as of 10 minutes in, still an elevated heart rate, and yet oxygen saturation appears stable at 98. All right, we're 20 minutes into this little experiment. My heart rate has dropped a little bit more at 71, but my oxygen saturation has dropped to 97%. And I've just been sitting here for 20 minutes writing a blog, so stay tuned. All right, folks, we're back here again. It is officially 40 minutes since I've been wearing this mask. Let's see how we're doing here. Pulse oximeter's reading up. I do start to feel like a little lethargic. I am feeling like as I've been sitting here, my ability to kind of concentrate and do things is kind of diminished a little bit. But interestingly enough, my oxygen saturation is still at 99, and my heart rate's up at 83. So I'm not really sure what to make of all this data. It's a short-term study on myself as I sat here and doing some blogs by myself in my house, just to see what would happen. But it does appear that there are no hypoxic reactions to this mask. Now, the one thing I want to make sure people understand is that there are a couple gaps in my mask, even though this is fitted a little better than most. As I breathe, I can feel the air pass through my chin, and I can feel a little bit by my eyes. So even though I have this nose clamp on here, and it's a pretty tight seal on that end and all around the rest of my face here, that this mask still has a couple areas where there is some leakage of air. So maybe that's why my oxygen saturation has been good. That would be my best guess. If there's any concern about the mask causing hypoxic effects, which there have been a couple studies which indicated that there is a common link between hypoxic issues. However, I do find it interesting that the heart rate maintained elevation. I'm not really sure what to make of that, other than as maybe my body's losing oxygen, my heart rate's pumping up to try to circulate more. I can't tell if my breathing has becoming more rapid or not. So that's just something to kind of be aware of. And again, as far as symptom-wise, from a subjective experience, my experience, I do kind of feel a little bit lethargic, a little bit of inability to stay concentrated on my writing right now, and so that's my 2 cents. Hope you learned something from this, and stay tuned. More to come. I wanted to make sure I eliminated all my variables, so I actually decided to wear nothing but my mask, just to make sure nothing was affecting my oxygen restriction. Turns out my heart rate's still at 82 and oxygen saturation is at 98, so clothing doesn't seem to have an effect. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed my video and are looking for a playful way to navigate the world of healthcare, I may be the right character for you. Look at the comments below to find out more about me and my adventures in originating health. Check me out at HoustonMindBodyDoc.com. See you next time.